Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started on our next unit today. We're going to be talking about polynomials, and we're going to see that some of the power rules kind of show back up in this unit. And we're going to start with learning how to name them and trying to figure out the type of polynomial and the degree of the polynomial. So let's start by talking about some prefixes. So hopefully there's some prefixes up here that you kind of recognize. So like the one that probably is the most familiar is bi, because we see it with bicycle, okay? So bi means two, bicycle means two. Tri or tricycle, think about that, was three. Mono, that's one. So we have a one, a two, a three. And poly is going to mean many. Okay, poly is going to mean many. So our new word is polynomial. Polynomial. And we're going to be talking about monomials, binomials, trinomials, and they are all in the family of polynomials. Okay, they're all in the family of polynomials. Okay, so a monomial is a number, a variable, or a product. Remember, product means multiply of a number and one or more variables. Okay, so -5 is a monomial because it's a number. P plus Q, that is not a monomial. We are not adding, okay? It said product. That is a sum. What about X? Yeah, X is a monomial because it's a single variable, okay? So let's decide if these are monomials. This first one is not a monomial. We are not adding, okay? We are not adding. So that is a binomial because there's two terms. What about this next one? 23abcd squared. Well, gosh, there's an awful lot of variables there, but that's okay because these are all multiplied, and it said that we could have a product. It didn't give us a limit in terms of how many letters we could have, how many variables. So this one is a yes. It is a monomial because it's actually one term. All right, now we got two fractions here. One of these is a monomial and the other one is not, okay? This one is the monomial because I could write this one as 1/2 times the xyz cubed. It's fine to have a number in the denominator of a fraction. This one is not a monomial, okay? We can have no letters or variables on the bottom. And remember, the bottom of a fraction is called the denominator. The top is the numerator. The bottom is the denominator, and we can't have variables in the bottom. We can have numbers in the bottom, no letters on the bottom. Okay, let's keep moving. So a polynomial is an expression that's made up of more than one monomial. So I like to think about the family of polynomials kind of like dessert. If we think about dessert can be cakes, cookies, pies, candy, ice cream, you name it, tons and tons of different things, okay? So underneath the umbrella of polynomials, we have monomials, we have binomials, and a binomial is made up of two terms. So 2x plus 3y, okay? 2x plus 3y, there's two different things here, two different terms. 5x plus 10, x minus y, 5 minus 3x. All of those are binomials. There's two, okay? There's two. A trinomial is going to be similar, but it's made up of three. So something like 3x squared plus 4x plus 2, where I see 1, 2, 3 completely different terms, okay? 3 completely different terms put together with adding and subtracting. 3x minus 4y minus 8. That would be another one. Or I could even do 3ab squared plus 6abd minus 3zy. Those are also three completely different terms, okay? So monomial is 1, binomial is 2, trinomial is 3, and anything more than that is going to be labeled just with polynomial. Okay, so we're going to label these in terms of, are they monomials, binomials, trinomials, or polynomial, okay? So 2x minus 3yz. How many terms do we see? Yeah, there's two terms, okay? We have two terms. So because of that, it's a binomial. All right, let's look at the next one. 8n cubed plus 5n squared, or n to the negative 2. So the first thing that I see is that there's two terms. So I think that's probably important. But I also see that this has this negative 2. Well, think back to our last chapter. What did negative powers mean? Negative powers move them to the denominator. So this is really 8n cubed plus 5 over n squared. Can I have variables in the denominator in a polynomial or a monomial? No. So this is not a polynomial. Okay, it is not a polynomial, even if it has two terms. Negative 8, well, that's one term, so that is a monomial. What about the next one? 4a squared plus 5a plus a plus 9. Well, you might be thinking, hey, there's four terms, so that's got to be a polynomial because we don't have a special name. But look right here. What do you see? Those are like terms. So 5a plus a is actually 6a. So this is really 4a squared plus 6a plus 9, which changes our 4 to a 3 and makes this a trinomial. Okay, go ahead and take a look at these four bottom problems. Decide what they are. Are they monomials, binomials, trinomials, polynomials, or none of the above? All right, let's see how you did. The single x, that's a monomial. Let's go down. 1, 2 terms. That's a binomial. Okay, this one looks like it might be a or a polynomial, but I see these two are like terms, so I know I can put them together to come up with a positive 2y. So now it moves from 4 terms to 3 terms, so this is a trinomial. And this one has a negative power, so it is none of the above. It is not a polynomial. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the degree of a monomial. Okay, the degree of a monomial. The degree is the sum, which means addition, of the exponents of the variables. Okay, of the variables, not the numbers, the variables in the monomial. So if I'm looking at the variables, I'm going to cross out the 5 because that's a coefficient. I don't care about that. This only has one variable and the power is a 2. So that degree is a 2. Look at the next one. I'm going to cross out the number. I'm going to look at my variables. Well, I see a power of 3 and I know there's a power of 1 right here. So I'm going to add these. 1 plus 3 is 4. So the degree of that monomial is 4. What about this one? I know I can't use that. Well, are there any variables there? No. So if there's no variables, it's a 0 because there are 0 variables. Okay, go ahead and see if you can find the degree of these monomials. All right, let's see how you did. Cross out the negative 3. I have one variable, so the degree is a 4. Cross out the coefficient. This one has a power of 1. That has a degree of 1. Cross out the coefficient. I see I have a 3 and a 2. 3 plus 2 is 5, so the degree is 5. This one has no variables, so it has a degree of 0. Okay, let's keep going. Let's talk about, I'll start us out on this one, and then you can finish these up, and I'll check with you in just a second to see how you did. Okay, so I see lots of powers here. But remember, we're only concerned with the variables. So even though this one has a power, I'm going to cross it out because it's a coefficient. It doesn't matter. So I'm only looking at the variables. So 2 plus 0 gives me a power of 4. Okay, see what you can do with these other ones. All right, let's see how you did. Cross out my 3. 2 plus 5 plus 3. 2 plus 5 plus 3 is going to give me a degree of 10. Cross out my coefficient. 3 plus 5 is 8. Cross out my coefficient. I'm left with a 5. That's a degree of 5. Okay, now, when we are looking at the degree of a polynomial, which means more than one, we actually have to look at each individual term. okay? Each individual term. So if I had the monomial, I know I'm going to cross out the coefficient and I'm going to add 1 plus 2 is going to give me 3, okay? But what happens when I have multiple is I'm still going to cross out the coefficient, but I'm going to look at each term. So 2 plus 2 is 4. Cross out the 3. This one is a 2. And there's no variables here. It's a 0. So I have 4, 2, and 0 to choose from. And I actually have to pick the biggest. So the biggest number is a 4. Okay, let's look at this one. This one has a degree of 1. This one has a 2. This one has a 3, and that's a 0. Remember, these numbers cross out. The largest of these numbers is a 3. Okay, so the degree of that polynomial is a 3. Okay, so let's see what we can do with this. So again, cross your numbers out, find the degree of each monomial, and find the largest. So this one's just a simple monomial, so this one's going to have a degree of 4. All right, this one, that has a degree of 0. This one has a degree of 2. This one has a degree of 1. The largest is the 2. Okay, the biggest is a 2, so it is a degree of 2. This one, the 8 is gone. That's a 1. This one is a 5. The 5 is the biggest, so it's a degree of 5. Okay, so hit pause, see what you can do with these bottom ones. All right, let's see how you did. 7's going to cross out. I know I have a 1 and a 1, so 1 plus 5 plus 1. That's a degree of 7. All right, this one has 3 different ones. Cross out the 12. 3 plus 2 is 5. 1 plus 2 is 3, and this one is a 0. Which one is the biggest? The 5. This one has 4. This one is a 2, 1 and 1. This one is a 3, 1 plus 2. This one is 2 plus 2, which is 4. And this one's a 0. Which one is the biggest number? The 4. So the degree is a 4. Okay, now let's talk about writing things in standard form. Okay, standard form of a polynomial is descending order. And we already know that when we're combining like terms, x's come before y's, the x's come before numbers, so it really isn't any different, okay? The difference is the powers matter. So let's take a look at this first one. So I have 6x8 minus 7x squared minus 5x plus 8. Notice how it goes 8, 2, and then technically this is a 1. So that's an order, 8, 2, 1. It goes from in descending order according to powers. This one is not in order because of these two. Let's look at this last one. An 8, a 2, a 2, a 5x, and an 8. Still not done because these are like terms, okay? So I can only have one of each type of term in my answer. So I have to combine like terms just like always. All right, so let's see if we can write these in descending order, okay? Into standard form. So which one of these should go first? Who has the most x's? Yeah, it's the 2x4, so that's going to go first. So I've used that one. Now the 7x squared is positive, so it's going to go next, and then my minus 11. So there's my standard form, okay? How many terms are there? 1, 2, 3. There are 3 terms, which means that's going to be a trinomial, okay? What's the degree? Well, this is a 4, this is a 2, that's a 0, so it's a degree of 4. Okay, now let's look at this next one. And we're going to do it according to the x's. So we don't really care what the y numbers are. We're going to put them in order according to the x's. Okay? According to our x's. So let's start by looking at our x's. Where are the most x's? Most x's are right here. So 5x cubed is the first one. Who has the most x's then? Yeah, this one's next. So minus 3x squared y. That one's gone. Who's got the next most x's? This one. Remember, that's a positive 2xy cubed. And last is going to be plus y squared. Okay, now we have to figure out the degree. Well, I see that I have a power of 3. This one is a 3. This one is a 4, and this one is a 2. So who's biggest? It's the 4. So it's a degree of 4. How many terms are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 terms. Okay, 4 different things that cannot be put together. And so this is going to be a polynomial because there is no special name for anything more than 3. Okay, see what you can do with these. See if you can write them in order. Okay, let's see how you did. So I've got 6 minus 2d to the 2.5. So this is not in standard form because this would need to go first. So negative 2d to the 2.5 plus 6 is going to be my standard form. Standard form, my degree, I only have 1 power. That's a 2.5. There are 2 terms, and this is going to be a binomial. All right, this next one, I see that this one is actually my biggest. So negative 2u10, then negative 2u squared, and then a negative 7u. I have a 10, a 2, and a 1, so the 10 is the biggest. There are 3 terms, and it is a trinomial. All right, so go ahead and get to practicing on that. Make sure that you're reaching out to us if you're struggling, and we'll catch you tomorrow when we start adding and subtracting.